And a good Saturday morning to the West Coast, and I guess a good afternoon to you, Deontay. They're on the East Coast.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to another edition of White to the Point, a black and forth conversation. I am officially Gen X Deontay, but that is the guy, Boomer Jim.
Deontay tells me that his significant other thinks I'm being too nice, which I suppose I am, and most people would probably call me an asshole anyway. But, oh, Deontay, just fair warning. It's that time of year where people start talking about they're going to be a new person next year and be better and everything. No, I'm just going to be the same lovable asshole I've always been.
Well, that's perfect. I think anyone should always be who they are. And if you being that way is who you are, then I appreciate that.
Yeah, the only good thing about getting older is that you don't give a damn as much what people think. You don't
You
need
know,
to.
exactly. I don't even know if I told you this, man, but I'm gonna tell you something right now that really grinds my gears. I hate when I live near people that are complete and total degenerate trash because like what happens is you end up having to take their nonsense and have to deal with it because you're sharing a same place, like a common ground, so to speak. And I hate when you got people that are just so devoid of manners and normal couth that you have to get dragged into their nonsense. And
That's
so,
like this.
go ahead.
That's like our neighborhood. 11 years ago we moved in. 11? No, 13 years ago almost. Over 13. But it was nice. It
Yeah.
was nice. But since then, it's definitely gone getting downhill. We've seen a bit more. We've seen some tagging activities. We've had a couple of car break-ins.
Wow. Break-ins happen in
You don't.
Vegas.
Yeah. Uh, you don't always feel comfortable going to the park. It's so yeah. I'm not saying we've had trash move in, but there's a couple of houses that you always see a lot of cars around them, and for some reason, if you're going to see cops in the neighborhood, that's the house they're going to be parked at.
Yikes. Well, that doesn't surprise me because here, there's a woman that actually lives, not too far from me and the wife, and this woman is so ghetto. It's almost like she's a stereotype, like on purpose, because she's driving around with expired tags and then no tags at all on her car. Then she says she does not have insurance, and then she just like hits people's cars, and then she says, "Oh, I can't afford that. I'm a single mother," and I'm just like, "You mother, you
How?
mother sucker." And then what happens is that the rest of the neighborhood has to deal with that. And we're in a nice condo, but then I realize after the fact that you can have different landlords allowing different types of people in the condos because they're all independently owned. So now I'm sitting here basically dealing with a shit show, and it's an embarrassment of the highest order. So I don't understand, how do we get past this thing? How do we have to move into a much much better neighborhood because this is supposed to be a pretty good neighborhood?
I don't know. I mean, this neighborhood we're in, it's actually a pretty nice neighborhood, but it's not gated. We've got an HOA, but thankfully it's not one of those ultra controlling ones. I mean, I basically don't like HOAs, but I can understand their purpose when shit like this goes down.
Yeah.
It used to be they were used to keep people out, but they can't do that anymore, and it's really hard for them to do anything other than levy fines now again for an overgrown yard or trash in the yard.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we may have to resort to a gated community. I hate to take that approach, but it seems like the higher up on the shelf that you put the vodka, the less likely that the alcoholics are going to be able to reach it, or at least the scuzzy ones. That being said, I feel like that when you live in a place where it's pricier than the scum of the earth, they can't come there and dirty up the neighborhood with their horrible personalities and tendencies.
Well, Deontay, look on the white side of it. You're moving up in the world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Living the white. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that one thing I've come to realize is that uh, whether it's real hood black people or real hood white people or trailer park trash or project trash, it's all the same trash. And sometimes white trash can be worse than black trash. And I don't, you know what? It's not even about race. It's just about the way that you are, the way that you think, and all this other stuff. And so I can't really blame people sometimes for stereotyping because the people that get the stereotypes, a lot of times they put themselves in position to be seen as a stereotype.
I think it comes down to respect, a lot of self-respect. If you can't respect yourself, how are you going to respect other people,
Yeah,
let alone other people's property?
yeah, it's embarrassing.
And that's it comes down to social issues, of course. Why are people down in the trash can to start out with?
And
What puts them down there? Who puts them down there?
speaking of trash cans, man, I'm gonna tell you, I saw a used condom outside, and it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. I mean, when you actually get a look at one of those things up close, and you realize, oh my god, that stuff inside of that packet, that's how we all start out. Like, are you kidding me? I
There's
mean,
a reason they call them scumbags.
yeah, exactly. It's just like seeing like a half open mayonnaise wrapper just laying on the ground, and with the mayonnaise still in it, man. It's an embarrassment. Anyways, whatever. I hope you had a phenomenal Thanksgiving, man.
I hope you did too. We had some ham and dressing, pies. I got four different pies. But
Speaking of ham, we got to go back to Trump because he is such a ham. I'll tell you right now. I don't know if you've heard the latest, but
what now?
he's still breathing. That's I couldn't believe it. Oh, wait a minute, you know. But I mean, it's insane what's going on, and I don't understand, man. Like sometimes I feel like this world goes backwards sometimes as opposed to forward because I used to think that after Trump did all the horrible things in terms of inciting the insurrection, I used to think that man, it was all downhill from here. But now people are bringing this whole border situation to my attention with Joe Biden, and I'm starting to think, wait, did we really just go into an alternate reality where Trump is the good guy? I mean, that's insane.
The polling is. I have to admit, I'm really surprised. Uh, Biden is actually trailing Trump in the key battleground states and pretty close to trailing him overall. Now, that's surprising stuff. Now, it's not surprising that Biden loses to any other Republican candidate, especially Nikki Haley.
Wow.
But I'm still a bit shocked that Biden loses to a Trump, at least on paper right now. Now, but what's really amazing is once you throw Robert F. Kennedy Jr. into the mix, does that ever change everything up? And then you got Joe Manchin out of West Virginia. If he comes in on it, that's also going to mix everything up.
Yeah, that's I don't know what it is. I think that's why politics are something that people try to leave off the table because it can be so maddening. Is it's
Oh,
just
I don't talk about politics here. My wife and her cousin, they are absolute solid, dyed in the wool Democrats, proud socialists. They swear that I'm MAGA,
yeah,
and I'm actually what you'd call a classical liberal.
right.
But it's got to the point, in my opinion, where Democrats, especially the progressives, if you don't march in lockstep with them and MSNBC, then you're automatically a right-wing extremist.
Oh, jeez.
You're automatically a racist. You're automatically every demon you can think of.
I don't
You got to
mind.
go right down that line.
See, I don't mind that you're automatically a racist. My whole thing is at least you're a kind and friendly racist. You're not
Oh my God.
how much are ropes at Home Depot kind of racist. I like that about you. You are a reasonable person. And you know what? Speaking of which, let's talk about unreasonable people. So the other day, my significant other, my wife, she was at the grocery store, and she was in line, and the lady that was checking her out and checking out a bunch of people for that matter, she was blowing her nose and wiping her hands all over this paper towel while she was ringing people out. And then other people were just allowing her to do that while handling their groceries or whatever.
That's the
And
cashier.
yeah, the cashier was doing that. So, my girlfriend, girlfriend slash wife slash husband, everything you can think of, the missus, she is not one to just take what people say and do if it's off-putting to her. So she made it clear. She says, "Listen, I don't know what you have. I don't want your snotty stuff your snotty hands all over my groceries. And can you please like use some hand sanitizer or something?" And the lady got very upset with her, the cashier, and started yelling, raising her voice at her, at my wife. And it was so funny as she was telling me this story because I know that's exactly how she is. And then it came to a point where the managers, said, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and he told the lady to shut up, the cashier. And then he rang
Good.
my wife out at a different register, and she said, "I don't know what that woman has, or all the diseases going on, all the illnesses, all the sicknesses, and she's doing that at the register, not hand sanitizing herself, and all these kinds of things. And I'm going to be cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't want the people I'm cooking for to get sick." And that might sound like an overreaction. To me, it's right on the money. It's the way that you should talk to these people, these public servants. That woman was a public servant, and she wanted to act like that. She was the problem. I just want to know what you think of that.
Well, her attitude definitely is just bullshit. That's completely wrong for her to be like that. On the other hand, actually, I won't say that because when I was a kid, yeah, there's some things you just knew about. Um, you try to keep your hands clean because back then we didn't get all these extra medications or vaccines and injections, the whole 9 yards. We went out, played in the dirt, drank from the hose, ran around without helmets. I mean,
Yeah.
you had to take care of yourself because you're doing everything you could. That was by today's standards. Oh my God, you survived!
Yeah. And it's just a nightmare that somebody can be like that. But you know what? I guess that's the world we live in.
Talk about pet peeves from back when I was a kid and checkout lines. It's a minor thing, but people who don't put that divider behind their own groceries.
Oh yeah. And then you have to worry about,
It's,
oh, is this yours? Oh no, this is someone else's.
it's
No.
just a simple thing to do. I don't care if nobody's behind me. Somebody's going to be behind me. Put the divider down and
Yeah.
take your shopping cart to either bring it back inside or take it to the storage area.
Yeah.
I mean, just be a human being.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And that goes back to what we're talking about trailer trash and just people disrespecting neighborhoods. It's all the same thing when it comes right down to it.
Yeah. And more to that point, and make sure you put hand sanitizer on your hands while you're doing that. But just another point on the people that live around you, and then they just drag down the property value and also your morale. These people, they get mad when the missus goes out and confronts the young children who are bouncing balls on her car and doing all these different kinds of things. And it's very frustrating because they're throwing trash out of their bedroom windows into the grass below, and they're hitting her car with basketballs and riding their bikes and bumping into her car when there's plenty of places to play. That's a playground right next door to us. And then these so-called parents who don't even police their children have the nerve to get mad when my wife comes out and says, "You better stop doing this and doing that." And sometimes she'll say, "You better get the," after so many warnings, and she even tells the parents, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." And then we have to deal with that. Now we have to be confrontational as a reactionary situation because other
Except,
people, they just sit on their hands. Other people just let the kids do it because they're scared to say something.
well,
Well,
the whole thing is, though, you're not allowed to do that. I mean, you can't speak to another person's child. Lord knows you can't grab them by the arm and say, hey.
yeah,
I mean, you can't do anything. It's even wrong to go talk to the parent. And again, I'm going to say, when I was growing up, might as well be the boomer that I am. Man, a kid did something wrong, he was going to hear about it from somebody. If he's lucky, it was his parent.
yeah,
Hell, I got my mouth washed out with soap a couple of times at school.
wow,
Try doing that today.
yeah.
Not to mention swats.
I tell you what, I fully support it because it's either let people walk all over you and feel like that they can do it, and then it's only going to get worse, or you speak up for yourself and you say, "Look, she didn't put her hands on anybody," and the police came and they had to, kind of intervene with the situation because she called the police because it's like either she calls the police or it's going to get crazy. The fact is, we are peaceful people, but when you have people that gives you a reason where you have to react and the only thing you do is just basically put your foot down saying you're not going to disrespect me like this, to me that's nobility at its finest, as opposed to the other people who allow their property to get damaged because they don't want to ruffle feathers. Well, guess what, you are not the person ruffling feathers. They're the ones that the parents need to become actual parents and do something about that. Do you honestly think that I would let my kids do that? They would be in the house so fast if they couldn't listen to, hey, stay away from people's cars and their property because whatever you do is going to come back on me to have to pay for it.
Well, considering that I know that you have a daughter who just graduated from Marine Corps boot camp, that tells me that you raised her pretty strict. Because
Yeah, I
that
mean,
takes a lot of discipline and self-respect to go through that.
yeah, and for me, it wasn't about raising her strict. It's just saying, listen, I'm not going to let you be a knucklehead. It's just simple as that, you know. And so it's
Well,
just,
I'm proud of you, Deontay.
well, I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
I mean, she's not a squid, but Marine Corps, yeah, that's some heavy-duty stuff.
Yeah, she just went. She just landed in San Diego on Thanksgiving for Camp Pendleton,
Oh,
and she called me
yeah.
yesterday. And she told me about she was at Walmart and she just got a few basic essentials, and they cost $250 just for like
Wow.
basic stuff like a hairbrush, trash bags, stuff like that. Just a few items. But she's in Actually, it's called Oceanside near
Yeah.
San Diego.
Oh, yeah, I know where it's at. I know it well. And of course, while she's there, she probably saw a couple of dozen kids come in and steal stuff. Not even bother running out with it. Not even a grab and run. They just walk in, pick stuff up, walk out. The store employees can't do a damn thing about it. Cops don't do anything about it. As long as they don't take over $999 at one time.
Oh wow, that's
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Once again, that's one reason I'm so tired, sick and tired of these progressive attitudes. Is that it's a complete disrespect for us. It's. I'll be honest. I think personally, I think obviously it's not the same as plantation days, but the attitude is still the same. Where the government, the masters, are going to take care of you. Anything you need, don't worry about it. We'll take care of what you need.
Yeah.
We don't care about what you want. We'll just give you what we think you need. And that's it.
And sometimes I feel like this is still a plantation, but sometimes we're putting each other on plantations. It's not even just someone of a different race. It's like sometimes our same race of people. It's like, when is it going to end? When does the the negativity and the nonsense end? When can we just start bonding together and have a common purpose, just on a simple level? Just live in harmony and tranquility. I mean, I guess that's too much to ask nowadays.
Well, given the education system we have today, you're right. I mean, it all started back in the '60s with with colleges turning out teachers that had these progressive ideas And they started educating the kids in elementary school and junior high and high school, and it just percolates up. So from the time in the 60s when it started, we had two generations of students fully indoctrinated instead of educated when you hit the 90s.
Wow. And to quote Edith Bunker, Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Seriously. Because when Herbert Hoover was president, everything was better. Everything.
Well,
I
personally,
didn't
I'd
have
like
a
to.
problem. I didn't have a problem in the world when Herbert Hoover was president.
Personally, I'd like to see Teddy Roosevelt, but I'd be happy to have Eisenhower or Kennedy.
Yeah, I don't know. Kennedy, I don't think Kennedy could think straight because he lost his mind. But
Oh,
I mean, well, Oswald actually kind of
yeah,
lose his mind.
that's bad.
No, it's bad.
I talk about losing their mind is, I'm going to say Biden,
Yikes.
regardless of him being a Democrat. No way in hell is that man capable. He can't even walk up a flight of stairs half the time. He can't even walk off a stage. And when he does walk off a stage, he does it when he's not supposed to.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
No, I stutter. I've always stuttered since I was a kid. And people try to say when he stumbles on his words, oh, he's just stuttering, he has a speech problem. No, I know what stuttering is. That's not stuttering.
You know what? I feel like if H. Ross Perot would have become president, we would have been dealing with the same thing.
I don't. In fact, it's good that you mentioned Perot. I think you know that I'm active with the Reform Party.
Wow.
That I helped. In fact, I was on the platform committee. We just wrote up a new platform for last month that got approved. I can finally talk about it. We worked on it for over a year.
Wow.
And we went back to Ross Perot's ideas and built from there, but put them into a modern context. And I don't know whether or not you'd be interested, but read that platform. I think you'd like it. We're actually sensitive to people, to everything. Now, when it comes to social issues, social and cultural, officially we said we don't take a stance on those. And then in other platforms, we backdoor into it. So we can talk about abortion. We can talk about civil rights. We can talk about LGBTQ. But we can do it outside the framework of an actual political party policy. We do it within the framework of the Bill of Rights and people's rights.
Wow. I did not know that, man. You got to check. You got to send me a link to that website or something.
Oh, I will.
I know you were talking the other day to Solomon and to Kiki, and you
Yeah.
you were talking a little bit about everything. Man, I was amazed at your stamina, man. Because Sean and I we needed a reprieve.
Oh, come on, Sean and you. No, Kiki and Solomon, they're definitely an experience, but no, you and Sean can handle that easily. I know you can because we've spoken for hours at a time. Sean and I easily go 3-4 hours at a time.
Yeah, at my age, man. See, you guys are young still. At
Oh
my
my
age,
God.
oh jeez, man, it's rough.
I would say you're full of shit, but I know there's going to be somebody out there that's going to take that as a racist joke.
It is racist. I mean, listen. It's okay that you're being a little bit more honest about your supremacy. I'm not mad about it. I actually appreciate it. You said something about 3 years ago that I really admire. You said I'd rather trust the devil I know than the one that I don't. And that was when I was asking you about Trump running again in 2020. And I never forgot that. So I'm okay with your supremacy, man.
Says the man who has a white privilege card.
Well, I mean, it's a privilege to use it because you get into rooms you wouldn't normally be able to get into. Seriously. I mean, I am so serious. People people think it's a joke, but then they realize, oh my God, wait, how is he able to get into this particular club or this establishment?
I'll tell you what. There's a scene from Remember the Titans. You know that movie. There's a scene where they just won the football game, and the white quarterback is out with his black offensive line or running backs and so on, and he tries to take them into a restaurant or a coffee shop, get something to eat. And he walks in with them, and the owner says, "Nope, we don't serve you here." And when they finally come out, all of his teammates get on his case. We told you. What did you expect to happen? And I'll be honest with you. If I felt that I had to be with you in order for you to go in somewhere, I wouldn't want to go in that place myself. Because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit.
So now I'm gonna have to watch that. You're gonna make me have to watch Remember the Titans since I've never seen it.
Oh, you have it?
Isn't that the one with Denzel Washington?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he takes over as head coach at the high school and pisses everybody off.
Kind of sounds like Morgan Freeman and Lean on Me. A movie that I just saw within the past couple months, by the way, even though it's 34 years old.
Oh, now I got to look at that one.
Yeah,
I don't know it.
yeah. It's a very popular movie historically. Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. I feel like that you have really crossed a barrier by admitting your less than homogenous beliefs. I do appreciate that.
Well, keep in mind that I was born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s. I was raised by people old enough to be my grandparents.
Yikes.
So, yeah, so I was raised in one environment, and the whole world has changed tremendously since then. And one of the things that opened my eyes, I think I told you this story, but the company I was working for, IBM contacted us, and they wanted me to come out to South Carolina and give them a presentation on our products. So I get out there, might have been Durham, I don't know where, and I get in rather late, and I walk into a coffee shop to get some dinner, and the place is pretty busy. At least the front half of it is. But I saw that there's an empty spot. There's the back counter, a couple of empty spots. So I just walk in, go back to the counter, and sit down, and wait, and wait, and wait. And finally, a waitress comes up to me and she says, "Sir, I think you'd be more comfortable if you sit over at that counter." As it turned out, I'd sat at the black counter.
Wow.
And they wanted me out of the black section and into the white section. And this was the black waitress that came up to me and said this.
Hmm.
The white waitress wouldn't even come over to that part of the restaurant.
Wow. Is this when you developed your anti-black stance on things?
Now, this is during the 70s, and no, it's what really opened my eyes to the fact that here I thought things were getting better, that we put racism behind us, that segregation like that, discrimination didn't exist or was going away. And here I got just thrown right in my face and said, "No, Jim, it's still here."
Well, the good news is that we now know that the reason why you thought it was going away in the 70s is because of your white privilege blinded you like it was a can of off spray. You know?
Yeah, that's probably a true statement.
That's embarrassing, man. And I hope that you can get past your hangups on race, man. That was great.
No, the thing is but that goes back to what I'm saying about in the '60s, where it started with the progressive indoctrination. things are okay. This is the way that you want things to be. So we're being taught this, and they're telling us this is what we're doing, and sometimes you believe what teachers say. Believe me, later on, I never trusted what a teacher said unless it was science. But when it came to politics and history, I questioned everything.
Wow. It's okay, man. Listen, I embrace you, the person you are. I don't care about your racism. It's okay. It's okay with me. You know, it's okay. You can't help
Oh
it.
my
You,
God.
you said you were raised by people who are older than your grandparents. Who were they?
My foster parents, my foster mom was born in 1898, my foster dad in 1905.
1898 and 1905.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! Do you realize he would be 125 now,
Mm-hmm.
and she'd be 118?
Oh yeah. So,
That
and
is
they were both from the Midwest. Foster mom was Missouri. Foster dad was Iowa. They lived through the Great World War One, the Great Depression, and so forth. I mean, they were just to quote Blazing Saddles, the salt of the earth. You know, morons.
wow. I tell you what, man, I can't blame you.
Actually, they were not morons, but I'm saying they were from an era where relations were different, pure and simple.
I don't hold it against you now that you despise the black community because you were raised by these blazing saddle people.
Oh.
I can't believe
You
that.
know, Deontay, there's one thing that does bug me a little bit.
Yeah, it
The
does
way,
bug. Racism does bug. It bugs me too, a whole lot. You're right.
I might have been raised in a racist environment, but I think I've learned a few things and overcome it. I've gotten past it.
Oh, I didn't know you
I
were.
look beyond it.
I didn't know you were mostly past it. That's good, man.
No, I think I look. I'm pretty certain that I look beyond it.
Good.
Of course, there's going to be biases left behind. I mean, you can't just rid yourself of everything that you grew up with.
So if
But
you
you can
saw,
at least, but you can recognize it and do something about it, and not allow it to be a factor.
so if you were the one that came across Trayvon Martin that night, would you have gunned him down, or would you have said, "Hey, give me some of those Skittles, man"?
Probably would have ignored him unless he gave me a reason not to.
Oh, so it is better to ignore, blacks when you're feeling that way, than as opposed to killing them. So that's actually smart. Ignore the black guy.
Okay, what would you do if the tables were turned and it was a white boy that was out there?
I would say, do you have a sister? Because I like white girls.
Who's the white supremacist now?
I'm not a white supremacist. I mean,
Uh,
the only supreme.
I think, I think on that note, we've gone over our 30-minute mark, and we try to keep this short.
Right. It's okay, man. Listen, I know deep down you're a great person. You're the one that helped me pick out my Thanksgiving drink, man. So, like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah. On that 12-year-old Scotch, how was it?
it was unbelievable. It had me feeling like I was a little bit older than 12. But I noticed that it's very effective, man. I told the missus, I said, listen, Jim would kill me if he knew I put ice cubes in here, and I had like 7 or 8 ice cubes, and I knew you would
Oh,
kill me.
yeah. One ice cube is okay. More than that, no. Not with something like Glenmorangie. Not with any high-quality single malt. Yep.
I'm telling you, man, it was exceptional, man. It was, and you know what? Obviously, I still have some. It's like I feel so cultured, and then on top of that, I wanted to feel even more fancy. So I was asking my girl. I said, you know what? Is there any way you can get me a one of those little, the glasses you drink out of it? I think it's called a whiskey glass because you see them
Yeah.
people on TV have it, and
Yeah,
they
Rux glass.
yeah. So it turns out that she actually had
Something like
some.
that.
Yeah, she had one, and it was even nicer than that. It was really nice. and she did not realize it, but she actually had been given a box of four from the casino about 6 months ago.
Mm.
And she brought it down and handed it to. I said, "What is this?" I opened it up, and it was exactly what I wanted. I said, "Wow." So normally when I drink out of stuff like this, but I drink that out of that the glass, the official glass. I felt so cool.
Well, I'll tell you what, a tip to make that last longer. After the first drink, don't drink more of the Glenmorangie. Switch over to a blended Scotch like Dewar's, and you won't notice a difference hardly.
Dewar's is so low budget though. I mean, because it's blended.
Well, yeah, it is low budget, but it's better than most of them. It's sure the hell better than Johnny Walker.
Is it? Well, first of all, I got to ask you about that. But first off, when I was a kid, before I even knew what alcohol was, I know my grandmother used to always get J&B Scotch. And what is that?
Yeah,
Never had it. I know that's blended.
Jane B's not too bad. My mom liked the Clooney and Pinch. My brother, he liked Teddy Sark. Jane B's so-so for blend as far as blended goes. All of those are so-so. In my mind, the best of the blended would be like Dewar's and Chivas Regal. Other people swear by Johnny Walker Black, and I know bars that sell that as a well Scotch. I know a lot of bars use Johnny Walker Red for a well Scotch.
Someone was telling me to get Johnny Walker Blue. Is that any good?
It's a high end blend. I haven't had it, so I can't tell you for sure.
Yeah, everyone says that that's where it's at, man. But you know me, man. I contacted you on my birthday 2 years ago at the grocery store. I said, "Man, which one of these should I get?" And it was the Glenlivet. You told me to get the
Yeah,
Glenlivet. I forget it was 12 or 14, one of them.
12.
Yeah, so I
That's
got
12.
it. So
Hey,
Glenlivet, nobody's talking about that. And someone told me about Laugh Frog or whatever. What's it called?
yeah,
Yeah, I never had that.
yep.
Is it good?
That's up there. That's definitely a good one. Glenlivet is also up. I mean, it's a good single malt for being relatively inexpensive as a single malt. It's good, and I like it better than the Glenfiddich.
Huh. Okay.
You know, people say, yeah, for Scotch, people like Glenlivet or like Glenfiddich. I'm on the side of Glenlivet.
It seems like I'm like the coolest person in the room because nobody will touch it. But if I was around some rich aristocrat, I guarantee you, they would be sitting there drinking it and talking about very good stuff, very good,
Yeah.
very good stuff. Everyone
Yep.
else is like, I'm not drinking that.
Anyway, like I said, we're well over our time limit. If people are actually watching this on Facebook,
Yeah, there's
please find us over on YouTube at just search for White to the Point, a Black and Forth conversation. Find the video, like and subscribe. Please help us spread out a tiny bit.
yeah, like, share, and invite.
Yep. If nothing else, you're going to be helping Deontay's retirement fund. I doubt if it'll grow big enough to help me out in time.
Yeah, I'm at that age now, man, where if I buy a pack of socks, that might be my last pack of socks. So you're right. You're right on the money with that retirement.
Yeah. Plus, I'm on cigarette number 4 now, so
Is that number 4?
yeah, that's number 4.
Dude, I don't even like to smoke candy cigarettes, and you're doing the real deal. That's awesome.
All right, Deontay, I'll talk to the people out on Facebook and or wherever. Talk to you later. We're out of here.
Yep.